Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Do Andrew Conspiracy. We have my lovely co-host, Mr. Jew, and myself, Andrew, here to conspire together on the world that we want to create. And as you can see, I'm back in my Colorado studio. Made the trip back 2 days ago and been sort of integrating the lessons from that experience and feeling adjusting to my familiar surroundings, and it always takes me like a day to settle back in, but this is day two. We're feeling good, and we're gonna settle into a box breath today, feeling the need for some calm. And I'll bust out my best Sanskrit here. Samana Vritti Pranayama. So it translates to equal fluctuation breath or equal breath. So I mean, pretty obvious, right? We're gonna do each stage of the breath for 4 counts, and we'll do that 3 times since that's our favorite number. And really kind of settle in, feel the relaxation. Imagine you're in Hawaii with the breeze blowing on your face and the birds chirping.
That Derek Jeter, the greatest baseball player I've ever witnessed.
Sure, there's whatever gets you to that magical place. But yeah, if you're comfortable, go ahead and close the eyes down and just settle in real quick. Wiggle out any wiggles, and yeah, we'll get started. All right. 1 long inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold at the top. 2, 3, 4. And an exhale on the down. 2, 3, 4. And hold at the bottom. 2, 3, 4. And then I'll join you guys. All right. I feel relaxed, feel settled in. Yeah. Dale, do you have some poetry for us today?
Sure I do. This one is especially written for today. It's uh, Dear Andrew Conspiracy Exclusive. So it's called Bright Wednesday Morning Before Show. So there seems to be great confusion by those thinking I have delusion. Because I joked I was God learning about my particular human bod, to which Lord gave secret nod, which resulted in long destined plan to bring grace to every man. As slowly I built the ship during 50-year therapeutic lunacy trip to shield GaiA from Overlord Fred, who now on Earth is dead, so I can truly at last shine radiantly on my sordid past, and a mere instrument of Lord, entity whose actions have never bored, to whom I raise my voice for gift of Lady of Choice, the sacred inhalation of holy breath that keeps us from death, for humanity is at last immortal, for those who choose that portal.
Dang. Heck yeah. I like it, Dale. That was really nice. So yeah, describing the times and your experience today seems real, seems fresh, seems what's on your mind.
Well, as we were talking about before the show, we could like examine the death of Fred in a hysterical MSM light, and say, the cartel shot Fred, and this is war, and this is basically what Fred did every year since 1950, since 1947 was when Adele died. He went in with the full U.S. military to avenge the death. And this happened in Vietnam. This happened in 1984 against the war on terror before it was, even became a real issue. And but ultimately, uh, Dale has always been Fred's greatest warrior. And when we first met, he called me Achilles, and I'm not sure if you know much about the story of Achilles, but basically, so Achilles was the world's greatest warrior, and he was half god and half human. His, I think his mother was divine, and his father was human. So anyway, uh, when he was a baby, his divine mother, washed him in the Styx River, which was like the gulf between life and death, and he was rendered invulnerable to all weapons. But but she held him by the heel when she dunked him, so his heel was vulnerable because it never got covered in the water of the Styx. So, long story short, so years later, the Trojan War breaks out. Paris kidnaps Helena Troy from Menelaus, and Menelaus is part of a group of 10 Greek generals and kings who have all, because Helena Troy was universally regarded as the most beautiful woman in the world. So basically, these 10 these 10 Greek leaders got together and they said, okay, we'll make a pact. We'll give Helena Troy to Menelaus, and if anything ever violates Helena Troy or Menelaus, that union, then we'll all gather together and avenge the. So that's that's the whole story of Troy, because Paris, who was like the crown prince of Troy, stole Helen from Menelaus. So this gets back to Achilles and the greatest warrior and everything. So when he was a child, um, when I'm not sure exactly when he was, how old he was, but basically the gods came to Achilles and they said to him, "You can be the greatest warrior that ever lived, or you can have a long, quiet life." And he chose the warriors. So, and when Menelaus and the Greeks came to claim him, his mother knew the prophecy, so she knew if he went to the Trojan War, he was going to die. So she tried to like dress him up as a girl, but Odysseus recognized him, and so he went off to the Trojan War and ultimately died. So, uh, but the, getting back to Fred mesmerized me by calling me uh, by calling me from the very beginning Achilles, his greatest warrior, and he was a Vietnam vet who, was keeper of the Eternal M16. That was like my own psychotic weapon that he had, to defend Teaneck Hackensack from the Vietnamese who were attacking. So we were, you know, people think that like Vietnam ended in 1975. No, it came to New Jersey. It came to the holiest city, and all the wars have been taking place in the holiest city, and nobody's knocking me off, and I'm back. So, but the fact that Fred has been knocked off, has really like sort been a stop, actual Dewey Death stop and say, hold on, it's time to reevaluate. And I am very sorry that Fred died. I know it's not me that killed him. He was my commanding officer, and and I'm no traitor. but the cartels did kill Fred. He was DEA. He was like the hitman. And one thing I figured out is that Fred and I, uh, do you know what the DEW line is, Andrew?
The what?
DEW line, DEW line.
No.
Well, for the last 60 years, the DEW line has been the basis of America's defense against nuclear attack from Russia. So it stands for distant early warning. So DEW stands for distant early warning. So when I was, so basically, ever since I met Fred in 1982, I've been talking DEW line to Fred because he's like my commanding officer. So we we we've we spoke completely in code. Yeah, whether it's consciously or not, that's how it was. I was speaking DEW line to Fred because he was keeper of the M16, and if there was an attack, he would be first to know. So by keeping in touch with the DEW line. So basically, what happened was uh, DEW line DEW line got like junked, and now DEW stands for directed energy weapon. So basically, what happened was Fred was following DEW line in defense, and he ran into DEW weapon, and it wiped him out.
Hmm. Okay. That was quite the journey there, Dale. uh.
So that's and but the real point is that now if I mean that's all details about how Fred died and everything, but the real point is that uh we are re we are Betamaxing to 1946, the end of World War II, when the Marshall Plan was put in. And in 1947, Fred was born, and the CIA was born, and Roswell, and all that like exploded and was covered up and everything. And everything that's been covered up since 1947 is now at last going to be totally revealed. And it is obviously going to be not just earth shattering, but, omniversally tectonic in response. But basically, Dale now has all the information that he needs, and for the last, especially for the last 50 years since I came to Hackensack, I've been the sole witness, first for the doctor, then for the judge, and then for Fred, and now I'm a witness for the human race to improve their lot.
Okay. Witness to what?
To where'd your sister go hunting in
What?
Alaska? Where'd your sister go hunting in Alaska? Never mind, I'll ask her myself.
Yeah. Man, how was your that bot with Mike Tyson sounded like it might have been intense today.
It was. We had to have like three breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But
Dale's.
let's get back to what do you want to talk about, Andrew? I've been like spouting endlessly. So, what questions, what concerns, what new plans, what new visions have you had? You talk.
Thanks, Dale. Uh, that's a good question. I definitely, there's something different now that I've come back to Colorado Springs. Like, not quite like a Mandela effect, but sort of like that. and I don't know if you guys are familiar, but basically just like things from the past that don't always line up with the consensus or that sort of thing. Like there's people who believe that Nelson Mandela died in prison, and in our timeline he got out and became president. So some people feel like there was some shenanigans, or just maybe the nature of reality is being revealed through some of these breaks, these glitches. And so I guess the glitch, and I don't know if I want to speak to it, but I have been experimenting with discharging debt, and one of those was a credit card, or several of them were a credit card, and uh, I, the lawsuit seems to have just gone away that I was
Right.
facing. So we'll see how that continues to unfold, but I haven't heard any updates on it in probably close to a month now. And so maybe that's one of
Well,
my clues.
I have a similar situation with PayPal, and I got a call or I got a text from a collection agency yesterday about it, and so rather than hiding, I just called, and it's a complicated situation, but basically, I bought $2,000 worth of Bitcoin through Rose for somebody who she was working for, who used a third party PayPal account to pay for the $2,000 and then reneged on the $2,000. So I just call I mean that's the basic story. So basically I just called the collection agency and said it's in legal it's being legally dealt with. It's in court. It's in trial, and until a decision is made, I have no idea how. I'm a retiree and I can't pay it. So they said, okay, thank you very much, fine. But I mean, with Fred dead, uh, I think, and even with Trump, I mean, if you're a good citizen, I think the whole mindset. I mean, when 30,000 bureaucrats lose their jobs, then the remaining bureaucrats are definitely going to be a lot nicer, right?
Sure, it's a theory.
Yeah, I meant because they know their jobs on the line. So so I just I've there was another thing with IRS I called, and I could have called and I didn't. I just let it go, and everything works out well. And I think the more you ignore it, the the more you ignore it, the more likely it is to go away at this point, just because Fred is vanishing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. So either we're, well, whatever's happening is happening, and so we're going to continue to witness the unfolding of this sort of post Fred phase, and uh, observe maybe what what rules have changed in this version. And I guess for me, it's like uh, how how to bring like more of this energy to my day to day, like actually live from that perspective, when you're making decisions or going through life, to really lean into sovereignty,
Right.
to lean into free will, to lean into creator mode, and and so, and the only way to do that is just to try things. I guess
Uh,
it
uh,
like, how do you know until you know? And so sometimes you have to have the experience yourself to through it. But there's a confidence, like a belief. I was telling a story about my dad the other day. We were praying for dinner, and there was the newscaster was on talking about 2.5 inch hail, and potential flash flooding and tornadoes. And my dad just said, I pray for the weather to pass through without damage. And I just thought to myself afterwards, I'm like, okay, well then it will. It won't be an issue. And of course it wasn't. And but I think that's the level of like confidence we have to have that when we speak it in, it is, and then we don't have to worry. It'll just play out the way it's most in its like highest form. Um, and and like you said, I think that does take some time to really not only say it and feel it, but then to know it. And we're kind of going through that, or that's what it feels like for me. Um, and I mean, I would like to think we're not alone in this sort of shift in how we get to navigate this world.
I just had like a like a vision of like where we're at with Fredcon. So duality. So duality is uh, Fred and Dale. So basically, imagine like I mean, this is something I saw today, but a rubber, or like, imagine like two armies of like super hot rod cars, like about to engage in a to the death uh, game of chicken with the other side. And there were like 20 million cars. And then, so then, then Dale is like in the middle, in between, holding the Fred flag, and the Fred flag drops, and everybody guns their engines and goes full steam towards each other. But Dale doesn't move; he's still in the middle, and at the last moment, they all stop and inch away from each other. But that's basically what's going on with Fred. And and there is no good or bad. There is no judgment of Fred, but Fred was a power is a powerful presence, even in death. But even in death, but in death, he has no power over life, and that's really the thing that people have to like start getting used to. But rather than saying, "Oh, wow, hallelujah, there is no more death," just start by saying, you know, okay, this is going to cause me anxiety. Do I really need to do it? Because there is no absolute need for Fred, and Fred is whatever causes anxiety.
Okay, seems like good advice. Um, yeah, if there's no need for that emotion, then it becomes a choice to experience it, and that feels like an old thought pattern, right? Like something that needs to be rooted out and replaced.
Well, just logically and rationally, if you have a choice between anxiety and comfort, Fred and Dale, then usually if you're going to try to pick comfort. But if Fred's taken out of the equation, then you only have Dale and Do, and both are positive outcomes, and both make you feel better. So, there is no Fred to cause bad emotions. With the elimination of Fred, we're basically cauterizing out of the human collective brain bad thoughts and closing down the lower three channels of communication to move into do, Dewey, and Duck.
Yeah, yeah. So you were saying you're reevaluating sort of the timeline for all this? Any ideas coming in there, or do you even want to speculate on something like that?
Well, I heard something very exciting. Apparently, there's something moving towards Earth, and scientists don't know what it is. And it's supposed to be here between, they say by 1928, but they don't even know what it is. So basically,
I mean,
I
2028.
feel yeah, I'm still a century behind,
Okay. Okay.
but 2028. But actually, it's the Dialena shrinking down to Earth's size exponentially quickly, so it could be here any day. I mean, but uh, it's all aligned with the Dialena body, and so whether it actually shows up as a spaceship or not, something is coming towards Earth that is unexpected and they can't explain.
Okay. I think I did see something about that somewhere. I don't know, maybe on social media, but I think that person felt like it was a comet. Uh, but he didn't sound as confident as you might like to hear. So,
Right.
yeah, all right. Dale, the dialing is on its way. Let's see what happens.
And
Uh,
and Dialena, and actually a Dialena mass unit's already down on Earth. Dalena. Dialena, that's like the advanced troops, the advanced medical people that were landing on Earth now to take care of the Stockholm syndrome.
okay, sure. Well, there's something, yeah, disclosure of some sort, revelation, whatever word you want to use. Uh, that revealing of truth. I think even the average person can see that things that have been hidden for a long time seem to be coming to the surface more often than we've experienced before, and so if there's an acceleration of that, that could certainly start to maybe force people to look around at that Stockholm syndrome and be like, wait,
Well,
what what's
I,
actually in my best interest here, and can I see past this programming that's made me feel like the prison, the captors were the ones that I needed to send my energy to and pay attention to
and worship.
and worship. Yes, yeah.
But so uh, I did. I guess a lot. So uh, yeah, I lost my thoughts. So keep going. Keep. What were you saying before the Stockholm? You know. Uh,
Well, I'm just saying there's feels like there's events that catalyze people into a certain frequency, right?
oh,
That bring people
I know what it
together.
was. So
Okay.
okay, this is important, and this is a Dale's disclaimer. Dale is a paranoid schizophrenic schizoid affective. He is delusional. He's been delusional for 50 years, and you don't have to take anything he says as in reality or serious. However, if you do, you will be in for a great ride. And that's Dale's disclaimer.
Yeah, are we gonna have to put that at the beginning of every episode now? uh, well, so there. Like I think back to 9/11, right? That everyone was waving flags after that, and felt this like commonality as a country. Because there was this external force that was now like threatening us or whatever, right? And and maybe even COVID, even though it was polarizing, whatever camp you were in, you definitely started to like find those people and like bond with them sort of oddly, right? And so an external force, call it aliens, call it whatever manifests, right? As it could just be that comet or some other thing that poses an existential threat to us or we perceive that way, would potentially get us to get out of this idea that our neighbor is our enemy and start seeing them as our ally. And
Exactly.
to me, that's happening maybe slowly in the current mode, but through revelation, through truth coming to the surface, there could be other things that we haven't really thought of yet that might start to shift people's perspective to that one. And that's what I think it will take in order to really accelerate this shift. And
So,
it may happen, it may not. It's happening regardless. It's just how we perceive time, I think, might be affected by something external, something people can latch onto collectively.
so I agree completely, and just so I want to say that. So basically, everything that I say is happening is happening within my 2 acre area of of activity. But within that activity, by my presence in that activity, I'm really like shining out. And so where we're at now is it's not cars headed towards each other. It's two great armies. I mean, I think of that scene from Braveheart where it's the Irish and the Scottish, right? And they're all like all screaming and kill the enemy and everything, and they have like this big scene where both armies are like like running towards each other, screaming, and death and destruction is on the way, and then the armies meet and they start hugging each other, because they both hate the English. And basically that's what basically what's going on with Fred's armies and my armies right now is it's sort of like the the you know the Americans and Russians at the end of World War II. The Nazis have been defeated, and we're friends now. But ultimately, are we going to stay friends? And I'm not going to, as now Duck Commander in Chief, send my troops in a war of revenge against the cartel because President Trump is perfectly able to do that. So I'm not going to endanger my people for the death of Fred because Fred always endangered my people for his wars. But I'm not going to do that.
Well, I like the image of the two sides coming together and hugging. That sounds right. That sounds close. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if there's a catalyst for something like that. Who knows? There's part of me that thinks AI could end up being that as a perceived external threat. Maybe not, but I don't want to really speculate too much on it. But whatever it is, it's going to be. I think it's coming in, and it'll be that next evolutionary like catalyst. And COVID was certainly a version. I think it had an effect, and maybe we're seeing more of the ripples from that now too, kind of bouncing back, because it
So,
definitely you had to start to question your own reality to some extent going through that process, or at least it seemed like an opportunity for a lot
well,
of people to do that.
that brings up two things. First off, AI. Dewey Death is the ultimate android. Um, uh, if it comes down to a battle between Arnold and Dewey Death, Arnold runs. because Arnold is ultimately human, but Dewey Des isn't. So we have that covered. If there's any cyber threat, Dewey Des, Dale created Dewey Des to deal with it. So, uh, and then as for the other, what was the other one you mentioned? The
No, geez,
uh,
you would. Uh,
uh, oh, what so AI and
I lost it,
well,
brother.
I did too, but the big one is AI because that's the one that's on everybody's mind. But Dialina has that very well under control because Dialina has all of Earth's records easily stored in a little microchip. So, you're talking about the Akashic records, and that's big for Earth, but Dialing is universal Akashic record, omniversal Akashic record. So, uh, I'm trying. So AI, and I'm trying to think of the other one you said.
Oh,
I
jeez.
don't know if we lose it that seriously,
I
but
don't think I did say anything else, but it's a I mean, I talked about aliens or something like that earlier in the show, but I mean, the point is it may not be any of those things. It might just be more of a natural sort of evolution of the species happening sort of over time as we seem to be experiencing now, right? People it's more of a gradual process and not so dramatic. I mean, I'm open to that too. It sounds a little less chaotic potentially. Maybe not as like satisfying just from a but we don't need these things to play out. Well, our timeline is our from our perspective, and that is from a pretty limited perspective potentially, right? There could be things that we can't conceive of currently that could happen that might make it even just it happen in a more peaceful and more huggy sort of way.
well, actually, that's what Dale was built for, or Dale built himself for, is to take the hit if there was ever going to be a human threatening strike. Oh, I know that the vaccine.
Oh,
That's the
cool.
other thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the vaccine. I don't know if you knew. If you know this, then it's a general knowledge. It should be general knowledge, but the vaccine patent number was 060606. So, everybody who had the vaccine had the mark of the beast. And and a lot of people are suffering because of it and everything. And I just trusted in God. I mean, my whole environment was like, you gotta get the vaccine when it came out and everything. And I've never feared vaccines. I've never had a problem with vaccines. So I said, okay, I'll get it. But now what's coming out and everything. But that's that's part of Fred too. You know, uh, actually, what I figured out was that Fred was a terrible and horrible side effect of the duck vaccine that was given to Dialina when it decided to come to Earth.
Okay. Well,
And unlike Fauci and Gates and everybody else, I've taken care of that problem. I've killed the Fred side effect.
yeah. Well, that's an interesting concept, right? Because there are these ideas that are put out into the collective, often through news media or certain algorithms, that sort of thing, that that start to gain traction with a certain number of people, and once that idea enters, does it become self fulfilling? And I think there is something to that. Telling if everyone said the vaccine was like super good for your health, and everyone who got it like leveled up, it wouldn't have an effect like like telling people, oh no, it's actually really bad, and there's all these potential down the road side effects that are delayed. That can create a little mind virus too of, oh, I had it, now I believe these things are possible within my body because I believe this narrative. And so to me, like, it points to not ignore the power of the perceiver, the power of your experience and what energy you're carrying into any situation. Because
Right.
I could tell you tomatoes are going to kill you, and if you start to believe that and you're addicted to tomatoes, they could kill you. And just the opposite is true. So it's like placebo nocebo effect. And to be conscious of where we're bringing that, because if you didn't bring fear to the vaccine, maybe it doesn't have that effect. But if they put fear in you afterwards with all these things that are coming out, now it has this
Retroactive.
psychological imprint that's affecting you. And so I get I would really anchor into your experience as a human and less about the narratives that are out there, because it just feels distracting. It feels like part of what's keeping you in the box. And
I agree completely, and but that's the thing. I took 4 vaccines, and I said, okay, that's it, and I'm not worried, because I know God protected me. I mean, this was a test, and it was a test not only by God but also by the deep state to see how compliant people could be, and they showed themselves to be very weak, but ultimately. You know, what's coming out. I mean, the crime is, Andrew, everybody knew what the side effects of the vaccine were 5 years before COVID hit, and they still let it go.
well, that's a story though too, isn't it?
Well, it is a story, and but it's one I'm coming to believe, but the,
Well, I
uh,
guess what's the advantage of believing that story?
uh, it's an explanation for a conspiracy theory of evil that now is dead and Fred, and you're right, but still, it's also a story of really true justice and getting to the bottom of what the truth is about this whole situation. I mean, whether it's Fauci and the bad vaccine, or Hillary Clinton and vampiring babies,
That's
Kim
my point.
Kardashian.
Those are all stories. They're not a part of our personal experience. So I am
Right.
hesitant to give them weight one way or the other, because am I just simply buying into a narrative at that point? And what's the advantage of doing that? I I I don't know. It's hard for me to take what there's just so much stuff out there that is unverifiable, and so to take it as a part of you without being able to actually know if it's true feels like anything can be a psyop now. And why would and if it's a disempowering belief structure, which honestly I feel like it, my opinion is that it is. So that's my opinion. You can do, if it's not to you, then fine, take it and run with it. But if it feels disempowering, or like this idea that there's always a boogeyman out to get us, I'm not feeding that. It's not helpful to me, and it doesn't seem to be in the spirit of this new energy either. It's like those are the old thought forms that are still clinging on to maintain the structure that no longer exists, or the
Right.
illusion of it, right? So I'm letting go. Memory even is something. It's like I was trying to remember the face of someone, well, and I couldn't yesterday, and like at a specific moment in time, and I'm like, well, wait, why do I need to dredge that up? Do I actually need to bring that in? And I think the answer was no. So
Well,
being conscious of that,
uh,
right? Like, what parts of history are we really trying to drag with us?
Right. Well, you know what I'm talking about is my measurement basically has been the amount of evil Fred that's been accumulating over the last basically 40 years. And now that Fred is dead, all that is missed. So I can drop it, but it would. But as a witness, I was the independent witness to the Iran Contra Independent Council. I was his son, and as a judge was the Iran Contra Independent Council investigating President Reagan. So, you know, I had an exclusive, and I was keeping track of the doctors. So I had an exclusive hotline to the judge, and that all went into Iran Contra, no matter how you want to, accept it or not. But uh, fact is that now that Fred is dead, all these things that have been on my mind and worrying me, it's all, you know, as I say, you can choose Fred, and it's a dead end, or you can choose Dale, and then if you choose Dale, you can have Dewey. So, just just be logical. Do you want death? Do you want worry? Do you want anxiety? Do you want problems? Then choose Fred, but there's no reason to.
I think that's a good way to close out.
Okay. I don't have a closing poem. Uh, but thanks everybody for listening. Just to for the 2 minute plug, I have a new email due dwauthor25@gmail.com, where you can reach me out to me and either make an appointment to talk or get a free book or two. And then I'm always if you want to hear my podcast history, it's at www.dewlive.net. And I don't know if you have anything you want to promote, Andrew, but thank you very much for your time. Thank you for our partnership, and I think we just get better. And I hope people find this enlightening and enjoyable.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're on a journey. I'm here for it, and I'm enjoying. I'm having a good time. So I think that's the main thing. I hope our audience is too, and promote the podcast, the Do and Drew Conspiracy. Share it with friends that you think might get something out of it. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more, and we would obviously appreciate all of that to help our channel and show, just have more engagement with our community. So if you made it this far, we do appreciate you and you taking the time to be with us today, and to conspiring together to build a better future.
Ta ta! Have a great day, everybody.
Peace.